Hi, Jeff and I are going to play a game of Fanticide this afternoon, and we thought you'd like to see a little bit more about the game. So we're going to film some bits of it, okay? We're going to be using actually our Warhorse core rulebook, which goes out to all the Warhorse guys. It has the core rules, it has the advanced rules, and it has the 4 armies that we've done from the beginning yet, okay? And of course we also have our card deck, and we have our magic templates, and we have plenty of 10-sided dice in hand. I'm playing with a Liberi army today. And the first thing I'll talk about is I've chosen a legend, of course, which is a Liberi chieftain. I'm supporting him with a shaman, so I have some magic attacks. The shaman is a master. I have some retainers. This guy with the horn is an important one to me. He allows my commander to project his command value a much greater distance than normal. I have some shooters to give myself some fire support in terms of missile troops. In this case I have 5 Liberi with bows. I have 10 Liberi stickers, which is really the core of my army and forms the punch of my warband, so to speak. I've got 4 Cheveo. These Cheveo are the crushers. These are the toughest units that I have in my army. They're really hard. I want to get those in and charge some of the bigger foes I might be facing. I have a unit of Peeves. In this case for the Liberi, of course, they're vultures. And I've actually chosen to take a piece of hostile terrain. This is a whole beast. The Liberi shamans summon them, and I'm going to be able to place that in such a way that I can resist or protect one of my flanks in this particular battle. Now we'll have Jeff tell us about the Fae.
For my army, I'm going to be playing the Fae, and what I've chosen here is a good representation of lots of the different units available to the Fae. Starting here, I have my Fae master, or legend, and he has a master with him and 2 retainers. They're going to be my leader, my command, that I'm going to be really focusing on getting my other units to work. Starting over here, I have a unit of shootists. They're Fae satyrs armed with bows. I have a core unit of stickers that are going to be my primary heavy guys in there, getting in there fighting. I have lots of Peeves. I have sprites with a sprite master, and I have brownies with a brownie master. These are 2 awesome units of Peeves that are available to the Fae. And then rounding everything out, I have my crushers, which are my tree bogies, and my monster, which is my forest father. This is very similar to Ernie's. We're very close in point value. And I also have chosen some hostile terrain to finish everything out in my tree haunts. Ernie took the whole beast. I'll use the tree haunts to try to secure some flank areas. And so if any of his centaurs come over there, they're going to be in for a rude awakening when those trees come to life and really start pounding on it.
Right. I've got my cards for my Fae, I've got my cards for my Liberi. I put those together in the turn deck. I'm going to shuffle that really well, but I'm only going to do that after I add the first event card. Okay, we have 6 of those pooled out, and we'll keep that as a separate stack. And every turn we're going to put one of those event cards in the deck, discard the one that's in there. By the time we run out of all those cards, we'll know that the game is over. Right, now it's time to talk a little bit about the scenario we're going to play. This is one of the pieces that Andy Chambers did some really good work on, and I'm really excited with how he sorted it out for us. Right from the get-go, I really wanted the 7 deadly sins really to be the theme for the scenarios. But what Andy managed to do was to come up with what we call the Great Sinning scenario, which actually pulls the 7 deadly sins together into a pool, if you will. So every time you play a game of Fanticide, it definitely has the potential to be a different scenario. Each one of the units, or armies, warbands, has a common sin. So for the creeps, it's gluttony. For the Liberi, it's pride. For the flying monkeys, it's greed, and so on. Okay? Well, what happens when you set your scenario up is that you can either play based on the army that you chose, which means that you're, for my case in this game, the Liberi, I'm going to play for greed. And that's my objective in the scenario. And the Fae, they might play with envy, or you can roll randomly, or you can do a home table edges. There's a whole series that you use this basic, very basic scenario generator, if you will, that makes every game of Fanticide different. We played through them with the balance, all of that. It's quite exciting, quite fun. So today we're both playing the greed scenario. The Liberi are playing with their pride. Okay, so what that says to me is, when it comes to counting souls at the end of the game, victory points really, enemy legends, masters, and monsters are worth 5 times their value. So in this game, I'm really going to be after his leadership and his monsters. What he ended up playing was Envy. Basically, they can't have something I want. So the face victory conditions is exactly the same as the opponent's. So Jeff's going to be trying to do the same thing to me because he has the Envy and I have Greed. Well, we're well into the game. And we just pulled up our first event card actually on the second turn, and it was the Dropping Storm. So for that event, we've had to check to see if any units got hit by any droppings from any big creature flying over the battlefield. We all passed our test, so that one's over. Now we're going to turn over the next card. And the card that comes up is, oh, it's the Fey Legend. What's going to happen with that, Jeff?
The Fey Legend is going to choose to activate the shooters that are next to him. So he's going to take a test, and he has to pass a sanity test for the unit to basically show that they've accepted his orders, which they have. So now they're going to fire. So that shootist unit right there is going to shoot at the Liberi that are on the hillside coming across.
From here
to here.
to here.
Yep. Alright. So what we do now is we compare our scores of give. And Ernie, what's my give on my Fey Shootist?
Fey Shootist have a give of 2.
A 2. So I'm going to roll a d10 and add that 2 for each model. Now you can't do fast dice rolling like you can in other games. You have to kind of shoot everybody one at a time because you're picking out who you're hitting, because you have to compare their take roll on the other side to see if they resist or not. So the first guy with the bow there, the first shootist, is going to take a shot, and he's going to fire across at one of the stickers. So I roll. I have 6 plus 2. That gives me an 8.
I rolled an 8, and my take is +1 because I have shield, so 9. So that guy's okay. I've resisted that bow fire.
Plus his take score added on to that as well. So he definitely was not hurt there. So let's pan back here and take a look at the larger group. The second shootist, again, firing at the spearman. He has an 8, has 6 rolled, and a 2 on the take score.
My Liberi warrior rolls an 8 plus his 1 because he has that shield on his take, so that's a 9, so he's still good.
Okay. Oh, now I rolled a 1, so I only have a 3, so he's going to very easily resist that.
Right. And don't forget, a 1 is always, no matter what happens,
right.
Always a miss.
So that was the third guy. So
3
I have
left.
Yep. So we have another shot 5, so I have a 7. Ernie rolls a 9 plus 1 to shield
10.
to 10, plus his take score easily makes that. Finally, a 6 and a 2, so I got an 8.
Ooh, I rolled a 2, so that means one of these guys has been struck. You've done that by over his soul points, so actually I'm going to lose one of my Liberi.
One guy dies. So all that shooting, I was able to drop 1 of the centaurs.
Okay, because I took a casualty from missile fire, I have to test. I roll. Ooh, my test is good, so I'm okay. I can remove the casualty off the table, and I'm set.
Now we move on to the next card to see what unit activates.
Let's turn over the next card. Yay! Lucky me. My Liberi stickers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to charge. I'm going to charge right into those Fey that are right in front of me. My charge is basically my agility plus a d10. I roll a d10 for an 8. I have a high agility, of course, because I'm Liberi. That gives me plenty of room to plunge right on in. And now we're going to be into combat. Jeff, can you move your Fey into match?
Bring everybody up to battle here.
You notice that we're not worrying about formations. We're just trying to get as many figures in the base-to-base contact as we can. And there we have it.
Part of the fun of Fanticide. It doesn't have to be rigid. You just, you want guys fighting, slugging it out, so you get everybody in there. So now, as you can see, we have everybody locked up and into combat, and since the Liberi charged, they get to attack.
Exactly. So I've got a Liberi on the charge. That's going to be the best give I can probably get outside of my Chevalier in the game. So my Liberi on the charge basically gives me a give of 4 plus 1 is 5, so I'm giving it a 5 onto whatever I roll. So my first roll is a 7 plus 5.
So he has a 12. So the Fey aren't as tough. Their base take score is only a 3, so I add that to my dice roll. So I got a 5 versus his obviously, one guy is instantly knocked down and killed.
And we just keep going for every figure that's in base-to-base contact. So my next LeBerry, he gets a 3 plus a 5 is an 8.
Oh, this time I rolled a 6, so I have a 9. So actually, he resists the charge. He ducked out of the way, missed that spear.
The next one, I roll an 8 plus 5. Ooh, I got that one for sure.
Oh,
he
a 1.
rolls a 1, so there's
So
a second
next
casualty.
guy goes down. We'll just work down the line here.
And we just go
casualty.
basically completely across the whole line, doing one model at a time. Okay?
When that's done, you separate the units by an inch to show the combat's over. Whoever won is considered the winner, and the opposing side has to take a sanity test if they've lost more models, and that may have them run away or flee or something else happen. So in this instance, it's pretty set that the Liberia were going to knock a lot of Fae around. So after the combat's over, we move them back to represent that the combat's over. We would do that, and I would take a sanity test of a 2, which doesn't bode too well for me. And it looks like my Fae are going to be retreating towards the forest to get away from those hard-charging Liberia.
All right, well, I ran off the satyrs, and now, as soon as my card comes up for my Liberia stickers, I am going to charge all those little sprites and crush them beneath my hooves. I can't wait for it.
Well, unfortunately for you, my Sprite Master card has come up, and she is Magic User. So she's going to cast a spell to try to give them some protection, and what she's going to cast is Wall of Fire. So
Yikes.
I'm going to place my Wall of Fire template there, and I have to cast that spell successfully, I have to roll over my spirit, and I did. So the spell goes off, flames rip up out of the ground, and now I have a defensive ward there that's blocking those spearmen from charging me and probably crushing me underfoot.
Absolutely, and that's a maintain spell too. So if your card comes up with her before, I get to take my charge in the next turn. She can keep that firewall up, so that could stay there for quite a while.
Right, and so they now have to think about where they're going to go. Do they reroute and try to maneuver around it? Do they take a risky gamble and go through it and take the damage? Lots of choices, and that's part of the fun of the cards mechanic and the tactics that you have to keep in mind when different units activate.
Okay, here we are a little bit further in the game, and we're going to talk a little bit about hostile terrain. I really need to get rid of these satyr shooters. They're causing me too much trouble, so I've actually decided to charge them with my own shooters, my Liberia bowmen. And I declared that charge. And I've rolled, and I'm going to make it, but unfortunately I forgot, in the heat of combat, that they're nicely nestled in amongst the roots of those tree haunts. What that means is, I can advance, but not attack yet, because I have to take a sanity test by those tree haunts. And if I fail, I have to roll on the insanity table. So let's roll and see what happens. Oh, I failed big time. So I'm going to roll on the insanity table now. And I'm a little nervous about that, so let's see what kind of result I get. Uh-oh. I have just rolled on the insanity table, and my squad is suicidal, which is the worst roll I could get. Which basically means, what's the point of it all? It's better to end it quickly. So the squad's going to lose a whole die worth of soul. That means I'm going to take a die's worth of casualties. Each one of these guys is worth 1, so let's just see how brutal this becomes. Ooh, 2 of my guys freaked out so much by the tree haunts, they actually committed suicide. These tree haunts are really tough when the Fae are rooted in the bottom.